total immersion in post-studio art for total immersion in rural Arizona, in art form all its own, also known as voluntary poverty. At my first meeting for county librarians, my t-shirt said, "Learn your syllables." I was artsy, strong, and bright. No doubt a hovercar was in my future. But I was already turning invisible. You may think invisibility only afflicts people like Marty McFly or the time traveler's wife's husband, but it could happen to you. One day you are a wunderkind, the next day, who knows? Fortunately, I am a highly trained librarian. I did some research in the U.S. Census, and I found some soft porn. What's the biggest difference between men and women? Their salaries for the same work. I said it was porn. Not only do women receive lower pay than men, women receive lower pay and then they give more work away for free. I am a repeat offender, recidivist volunteer. Women comprise the largest supply of free labor in the world. We like to make fun of housewives, but women today really aren't much smarter. Ladies, you still make only 80 cents for every man dollar. His weekly check is pretty much the same as yours, but he gets a bucket of quarters every week. In a recent poll, you rank gender equity below going to the beach every day. Do the math. More money, more beach. Here's how working men describe themselves. Here's how women describe themselves. This kind of talk affects me personally. Ladies, take a good look at the guy next to you and please punch him in the face right now before he becomes your boss. Avoid a messy court case in the future. Now, back to the gender gap. If you're a cafeteria lady, you rule. You make more than the men in your shop. Otherwise, your occupation doesn't really matter. But geography does. Do not move to Utah. Ethnicity is another factor, a huge one. But here's a fun fact. The gender gap will close in 2058. And ladies, maybe you'll get a hovercar then. The guys will, because they'll have made $500,000 more than you just by saving those buckets of quarters. And maybe by then salary secrecy will be a thing of a past, because it's still okay now in 30% of U.S. businesses to fire you for money talk. And there you go in court again. But there's hope. And of course, JFK signed the Equal Pay Act only 50 years ago, when the gap then was about 50 cents. And now one group has made real progress, but have a baby, hit the motherhood wall. And if better pay is not your top priority, you'll just fade away. Fortunately, there's a solution to the gender gap. I think you're going to like this. Really pay attention. There are high-paying jobs in the United States, but they're pretty much all man jobs. So listen, this is really easy. We just have to put women into those jobs. But there's a catch. Young women aren't qualified. Maybe the next generation will be, after our school system is fixed, after girls start learning practical math. But don't worry, there's another solution. Here are some jobs that women already have, plus postcard poet, I put that one in for me. Let's just pay them more money. Now we've got two solutions, and this girl has it made, and a hovercar is definitely in her future. But what about me? What about my future? I've worked at the same company for 25 years. A lot of happy sailing, but recent changes have left me in the fog. I've gone from a life of creativity and adventure to late night blogging. Obviously, I have become invisible. No wonder work is so dull. And when I look for a new job, I get this message, even from my own company. I should quit. Just give it away. But here's another fun fact. Baby boomer women cannot afford to retire. Remember that gap? It doesn't go away. So I keep thinking about how I spent my life. Hey, I want to meet that guy, and I want to get my fair share of his buckets of quarters. I mean, seriously, he will never see me coming. And he'll never see me leaving. And it's not about the hovercar anymore. It's about survival.
always quoted, it was 60 cents on the dollar.
Oh, those were the good old days.
Yeah, and now it's 70 cents.
Yeah, the numbers are all over the board, and the numbers depend on where you live and on your ethnicity. Women of color, it's still around 50 cents. It's really horrible.
But the trajectory is positive. It is getting better. It's very slow.
But consider 50 years to make this difference.
36 years, baby.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But let me tell you, math is the answer.
Math is the So just so that I understand, when we're talking about this disparity, is it for the same job?
It's for the same job. There are some jobs where there is very little difference. For instance, judges, male judges, female judges, they get paid the same, but here's the difference. There's like 1 female judge, 20 male judges. So that's where you'll see the numbers are the same. People in Congress, they get paid the same. You know, you got a pretty, you know, if you want to get paid the same, then look for occupations where there are no women. You go in there and you're going to get paid the same.
I have a question. What about, do you know anything about union pay?
Even with union pay, you'll find the same problem. And a big part of the problem is the fact that in 30% of U.S. companies, there are policies that forbid people from talking about salaries. And even if you go in and you try to talk to your coworkers about what your salary is, that can be grounds for dismissal. And that is one of the things that is coming up now in the new Paycheck Equity Act, is to end that. Yeah. Oh, people behind me.
That was a law that was signed by JFK.
No.
No, what was I just want to say thanks for throwing JFK in there, because
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You can't have a rant about JFK. It's got to be in there.
So what law did you sign that you mentioned?
We'd have to scroll back. That was the law, the Lilly.
Oh, it was don't talk about salary law. It was.
Yeah, and there are 2.
Okay.
But that's the equal paycheck law.
What are the best states in terms of parity?
Washington, D.C. Guess why? Government employees. Yeah. Jennings.
So when there is a disparity in power that manifests in a disparity in pay, whose responsibility is it to rectify it? Is it the group that is not in power and is less able to change it, or is the group that is in power and has less impetus to change it in the first place?
My feeling is that a big part of the responsibility goes to women. When I was a county librarian, my pay was based on the pay of other women, other county librarians, many of whom were not single moms, had husbands who were doing pretty well, and so they would say, that's okay, I can take the lower salary because I'm doing all right. And they weren't aware that their lower salary affected my salary. And what they needed to do was say, hell no, you pay me top of the line, and if I don't need that money, I'll donate it back in. And women who, by virtue of having great hearts, say, I'll just volunteer for that, you don't need to pay me. And we hurt ourselves repeatedly. We go ahead and say, I'll just do that for free. And then we find out later on that we're doing things for free that some guy is saying, yeah, I'll do that, but you know, you're gonna have to pay me. It's a problem with the society. And I've also found that artists more and more are standing up and saying, yeah, I'm going to make that mural for you, but you're going to pay me, and then I'll donate the money back. And women need to learn to say that, and need to say, I'm going to do this work, and it's got a value, and that value has a dollar sign. And then if I don't need that money, I'll donate it, I'll do something with it. We need to learn to put a dollar sign on our work, and we need to take credit for what we do, and we need to do that for our daughters and for the next generations. Yeah?
Do you think it will change society if if women co-opt male power symbols?
Like,
Ownership of property such as hovercars and electric.
I don't know. For me, this is a real personal issue because I have reached a point where it's really hard for me to find a new job. And I feel that my job applications are just getting thrown right out the window the minute they see how old I am. And then I started looking at this just in terms of age discrimination, but once I started looking at the numbers and I see what's going on just with women and work, I was just astonished because I really thought that this issue was over and it's not. So keep at it. Yeah.
I want to know where the worst states were for pay disparity and
Utah.
Where else?
I spent probably about 30 hours of research doing this 5-minute rant, and you're going to have to pay me if you want to know.